Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I have created this video especially for the people who are traveling to Australia for the very first time, and I hope this video will help you. I am going to tell you some tips to drive in Australia if you are coming here for the very first time. Coming back from India, it was difficult for me to drive here on these roads with all the rules and regulations, but it was easy with time. So be patient and keep watching. This thing you should learn by heart, that people here in Australia hardly honk. They don't like being honked and they never honk. So learn this thing as soon as you land here in Australia. So first thing first, if you are a beginner in Australia, then Apple Map is going to be your best buddy. It will not only tell you that the camera is coming or on which speed you should be in, it will help you to take exit from the highways by telling you in which lane you should be driving in. Wow. Another fun fact in Australia that you can have your own customized nameplate, and look at this. He has the snack as his nameplate. Is it an interesting? Okay, going back to the rules. Australia follows a strict rule of lane driving. So every right, left or going straight has its own lane. You have to keep eyes on the road for all the arrows, which are self-explanatory. Wherever the arrow shows, you have to go. So if you are standing on an arrow that says straight, you cannot take a left or a right. Australia follows right-hand side driving, so if you're coming from India, it won't be an issue. But the driving sense over here is very much different than back in India. So in India, you can drive in any of the lanes with any of the speed you want. But here in Australia, if you are driving on a high speed lane and you're driving a little slow, like it is 100 kilometer per hour speed you need to maintain, and you're driving on around 70 to 80, it is a violation of the traffic rules. So you cannot drive slow at any point of time. So you have to maintain your speed, which has been mentioned or specified for that particular road. Keep looking for the sign everywhere. They are gonna legit tell you on which speed you have to be in, and of course you're using Apple Map if you're watching my video. You have to be very attentive while you're driving, because sometimes the government changes the speed limit of the road suddenly. If you're driving on 100 kilometers per hour, they suddenly drop that speed limit to 60 or 40 because of any good reason. So you have to be attentive of the boards and the signs and the flash display screens on the road. Also, people here are so patient, they are so humble that nobody is in the rush. They will allow you to take a turn, they will allow you to go first. So if you are coming from India, you have to keep that in your mind. Coming from India myself, I can say it was really difficult for me to allow people to go first, to let them just take a turn before me. But yes, the people here are humble, and then you have to maintain the peace and the sanity of this place by yourself. So mostly cars in Australia is automatic. So if you're coming from India, where most of the cars are manual, you have to keep in your head that you are driving an automatic car. But it won't be a problem. In a day or two, you will get a hang of it. Unlike in India, the back seat passengers need to have mandatory seat belts on at all the time. So it is a mandatory rule here. While driving in city, you have to be very extra careful, because they have cyclists, they have tram, they have people walking here and there. You can see on the screen that the tracks for the tram. So you have to be very attentive of all the signals. Whenever your signal says green, make sure it is your green signal. It is not for the people who are walking, not for the tram. So if you are wondering while driving in Australia about these extra lanes, so let me tell you, the lane you are seeing on the road is for the parking. You have to make sure that there is a sign for the parking, and make sure you are parking the car in the direction of the moving traffic. The lane which you are seeing right now on the screen is a little narrower than the previous one, and it is for cycling. These are specifically dedicated for the people who are cycling. So make sure you are driving in your lane and not crossing. Now on this screen you can see I'm driving inside the city, and there are tram areas, there are direct signals, and there are so much chaos. So be patient, you are driving it correctly. You have to drive on the tram trails if there are any. Sometimes there are no signboard for the speed limit. In those areas, try to maintain the speed of 50 to 60 kilometers, not lower than that and not higher than that, depending upon in which area you are in. Understanding the lines on the road is really important in Australia. So if you see the broken lines, that means you can overtake the vehicle. If you see solid line, that means you cannot overtake the vehicle. If you see two solid lines parallelly moving, that means you're on a one lane where the two traffics are running simultaneously. If you see a solid lane and a broken lane on your side, that means you can overtake by looking at the traffic, not like all the time. Coming from India, the most difficult thing I found here is taking a turn on the roundabout. So if you are on a roundabout, make sure you are looking at your right, and if any of the vehicle is coming towards you, you have to give way. You don't have to worry about the left because no one look at the left. But make sure you see right and then go straight. Every time you're on the roundabout, make sure you see right and you're good. I must tell you, it's okay to make mistake, but you should keep learning. It takes some time to get calibrated on Australian roads, so you will get a hang of it. Last couple of things. So if you are taking exit and parking your car somewhere, make sure you park your car in lanes. It's very important. Again, you can get fined if you're not doing it. I've seen that with so many people. Also, if you are stopping at an emergency lane, make sure you are in actual emergencies, because you can't just park your car, start taking pictures, have fun, because it's against the rules. Make sure you're using your indicators properly. Right means right, left means left, and do not forget to use them. I'm still learning my way to drive here in Australia, but I hope this video will help you if you're traveling to Australia for the first time. So keep driving and keep learning. Do not be much hard on yourselves, because it's a process. Slowly and gradually, you will understand all the rules and regulations here in Australia, and voila! One day you will be a finest driver here, because driving in Australia is actually a piece of cake. It is so easy, especially when you're coming from a place like India where there is so much mess, so much hush rush. You will be surprised that how people are systematically driving over here. I'm sure you're gonna love the drive. And yes, you can see this is a Great Ocean Road, which is very famous, and I am driving like a pro. Okay, so with this note, I'm gonna take your leave. I will meet you in my next video. Until then, keep traveling.